Good afternoon, and welcome to our final luncheon of the season. We resume in the fall. Glad to have you all here. We've got a very full program today, so let's get right to it. Let's talk about some first-time guests who might be here right now. Anybody here for the first time? Oh, quite a few. Not you, Linda. I first want to introduce a guest. Jennifer Moss is from the Silverstein Institute, and you've been very kind. However, applause for Jennifer. Jennifer has helped to give us the annual grant to go toward the scholarship fund that we have at Hyde Park Steakhouse. That's where they announce it each year, and that's been very generous of you and your organization, so thank you for being here today. And Allison Nash from State College of Florida, thank you for being here as well. Helps coordinate the grants to the students. So before we bring up Erwin to talk about the news headlines, I know sometimes you like to hear about some news coverage from the front line. This past week, as some of you know, I work at ABC 7. And there was a big story involving a county commissioner who also is head of the Argus Foundation. Some say, how can she be an elected official and also front a lobbying group? That's what the critics will say. Others will say there's no conflict. Well, I was trying to get through to the county attorney to get him on TV and do an interview, and the county media relations person said, no, he's not going to talk to you. He's issued a statement saying that there's no conflict legally. I said, what about ethically? You're on your own. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to go to the parking lot and roll the camera. He's bound to leave at 5 o'clock. And he did. He came out, and I rolled the camera and walked about 100 feet, hoped the camera was still framed on him because I was shooting my own stuff. And I said, sir, can I ask you about the ethical choice that you're allowing to play out here? No. Can we talk tomorrow? No. And he got in his car, closed the door, and I said, I hope my camera is recording this. And I went back, and sure enough, it was. And that was. Sometimes it's more fun when they don't comment. And then the county administrator walked out and did the same thing. So it was a productive day in the parking lot there. Yeah. All right, let's get some of the other headlines nationwide and worldwide with Erwin.
Well, you all know one of my favorite subjects is unbundling of cable systems. The Canadian Broadcasting Association, the federal rulemakers for Canadian broadcasting, have demanded unbundling of cable television in Canada. All of the cable operators are by March of 2016 to be operating to offer a basic cable channels and the options for a la carte channels. That's an argument that has been going on for a long time here, and one of our friends at the Broadcast Media Roundtable is Bob Miron, who was one of the founders of Bright House Television. And Bob and I, every time he comes, get into an argument about this, and he is such a good-natured guy, we have a lot of fun. But he had another very important announcement at the last meeting of the Media Roundtable, and that's that Charter Communications has bought Bright House Communications for, you sitting down, $10.4 billion. I asked Bob to buy lunch, but he wouldn't do it. He also said, it gave us a little bit of an inside track as to why. First of all, the deal is contingent upon the Time Warner deal going through between Time Warner and Comcast. And second, the reasoning for that is because Bright House is partnered with Time Warner in many activities, they will lose that leverage. So they're looking at the combination of Bright House and Charter to be able to get some of that leverage back. But another interesting aspect to his discussions that we have at the roundtable, and I've got to get this correct here, he's always been very candid about things like cable cost and retransmission consent and net neutrality. But I asked him about the impact of the new Sling TV service, which is going to include both HBO and Showtime for a little bit of extra fee, and it's going to include ESPN. And ESPN is one of the ones that has never broken contact with the cable operators. And I suggested, why are they doing this? And he said, well, he says, I got to believe that this whole thing is a big experiment. The whole Sling television thing of the 50 channels for $25 or whatever it is. And later that week, his thoughts were probably confirmed pretty much when it was announced that the Dish people who own the Sling had agreed with content providers to cap subscribers at 2 million subscribers, which tends to lend some credibility to the fact that it is an experiment, and you've got to believe that if the cable companies find it's eating into their whatevers, whether it's income or drops or whatever, that is going to change. But when Bob attends the roundtable, we get a lot of good dirt, and he's really a good guy. Let's see, what else? What's next on the list here? I got to start using 18-point type. Perhaps you've heard that the broadcast industry is undergoing again a change in television standards. We went to digital, and that seems like just yesterday, although I guess it was probably almost 20 years ago that the move started. And there is now a move towards something called the ATSC Standard 3. And a little bit of information came out, what is going to give us some idea of the kinds of things it will provide. One of the things they've announced is that an outfit called Verance Corporation will be part of that new technology. And that enables a number of features such as personalized viewing. I can't tell you what any of these things are, but you can guess from the titles. Personalized viewing, on-screen interactivity, dynamic advertising, and viewer measurement for viewers who access their services via cable and what's called OTT, over-the-top television. That says to me that there's going to be a lot more information available to advertisers from regular old TV over-the-air viewers via some of this new technology. We can probably also expect, since Verance is one of the companies that provides copyright protection for movie companies, that there may just be some changes in what we can record and what we can't record, not by law, but by technology. So we'll just have to see what happens with that. You've probably also heard over and over again that both cable and over-the-air TV have discovered that the coverage of certain events live get a lot more audience and bring in a lot more advertising money than things that are recorded or whatever. Well, get ready for this one, folks. The folks at Animal Planet have released this quote: "Just like our viewers, we're all pins and needles waiting for the animal kingdom's biggest birth of the year. The Dallas Zoo and Katie, of course, are the prime partners as we work together on the biggest baby watch anywhere. Katie is a giraffe who will participate in a 24/7 coverage online with 8 cameras and a live feed and on-demand videos of Katie's life." So put that on your calendar. We can't give you a date yet. What's the incubation period for giraffes? Does anybody know? The movement to compensate college athletes took a twist recently when a group of 10 collegiate football and basketball players sued not just the athletic conferences, but ESPN and broadcasters that reap the growing windfall for televising their games. A key hearing is scheduled in federal court in Nashville for April 13th, when a judge will hear arguments as to whether to dismiss the class action suit or whether to allow the athletes to proceed with a class action suit on the matter. And that's one been talked about recently and probably is going to happen. Bob Schieffer, as you know, has announced his retirement. Kind of a sad day for the people who liked old-time newscasts, but that's life. And now I'm going to try an experiment. So give me a minute to get the mechanics working, and forgive me if it isn't the best quality, but I want you to listen to something and see if you recognize it. And don't think you recognize it when you hear the first part of it. More.
This is the countryside. My name is St. George. I'm a knight. Saturday, July 10th, 8:05 p.m. I was working out of the castle on the night watch when a call came in from the chief. A dragon had been devouring maidens. Homicide. My job. Slay 'em. You call me, chief?
Yeah, it's the dragon again, devouring maidens. The king's daughter may be next.
You got a lead?
Nothing much to go on.
Said you take that 45 automatic into the lab to have them check on it? Yeah. You were right. I was right. Yeah. It was a gun.
1953. I know you know, Mike. Who else knows? Scream it out. No. 1953, Stan Freberg, who died this week, probably one of the most creative advertising writers ever to live. It started with John and Marcia as well. That was a nasty record back then, though. Anyway, that's it for the news. And homage to Stan Freberg, please.
They're all yelling Dragnet at our table, but no, you went back further than that.
It's called St. George and the Dragonette.
That's good trivia. We had a big birthday milestone yesterday for one of our members, Casey Russell. Happy birthday. Should I say how old, Rusty? 90. 90. Oh, I hope it works out. Let's bring up Bill Watrous to talk about our Scholarship Foundation. Some exciting news today. Bill, thank you for all you do for the Scholarship Foundation.
Thank you very much. We've had our scholarships going for quite a number of years. We have two of them when we have enough money available to give two of them. The first one was started in honor of Dallas Townsend back in 1995, and since then we have honored one of the founders of our club, Wally Dunlap, and both of these are administered by the State College of Florida Foundation, and one of the requirements for a student is that they be a student at State College to start with, and after they have completed their term there, if they want to continue in their broadcast major in another state college for their third or fourth year, they can take the scholarship and follow them as long as their grades are up and they're following it. But they start out right here with the State College. Started out as Manatee Junior College and then Manatee Community College and now the State College of Florida. Hopefully it's going to stay that way for a while, in spite of the fact that there's a move afoot to change the name again, not just of this college, but around the state to meet certain requirements. But one of the things that I think that is really the biggest benefit of these students is not just getting a financial lift to get started at the State College of Florida, but we try to encourage those recipients to meet with us for lunch throughout the season, and that they have come to us over the years afterwards and say, you know, one of the biggest things that benefited us was being able to meet with you and rub shoulders with the years and years of experience that you can see if you look around the lunchroom today. And many of them still stay in contact with us they're out in broadcasting today as a profession. And of course that's what we're trying to encourage, and a good deal of that is because they have met with you and you have mentored them, and still are for some of them. And I just want to thank Jennifer on behalf of the club. She has been instrumental in helping us to raise funds for the scholarship, and thank Dr. Silverstein, if you would, because he has, through the foundation, sort of adopted us for the last several years. We really appreciate that. If you are wanting to help in this effort, what you need to do, because we're not tax exempt. The State College of Florida is, the foundation is, so if you want to make a contribution to our scholarship fund, what you do is make a check out to the State College of Florida Foundation, and then in the subject line put Broadcasters Club Scholarship. That way the money is going to the foundation, they earmark it for our for our scholarship, and their administrative staff helps us in actually selecting the student that will receive that each year, and we do thank you for that. I don't know, are you coming back up, or is Fulton coming up? Yeah, Allison. Yes, Allison, would you come on up here for a minute? What we would like to do right now is to present Allison on behalf of the Scholarship Fund with a check for this year's edition from the club itself. And I've asked Allison if she would say a few words about how this whole thing works.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, on behalf of the State College of Florida Foundation and the faculty and the students and the foundation itself, I want to thank you for the continued support that y'all have given to our students over the years. I went back and I was looking, in 1995 is when the foundation started partnering with this scholarship opportunity. State College of Florida, our students, many of them have so many obstacles, and financial obstacles are just one of the things, but you all have been so supportive of our students over all of these years. And I want to thank the individuals, because we do receive individual checks from this club from members to help support those students. So thank you so much, and I appreciate this. What we do is we have an online scholarship application that the students fill out. And the criteria for the scholarship for the Broadcasters Club is that they're members of, that they're going to be pursuing a broadcasting or mass communication degree, and they have to have a 3.0 full point, they have to have a full time enrollment at the college, and the system goes through and sorts all those students out that have applied, and then we have a committee that goes through and reviews those and selects, based on the funding available, how many students. And as Bill had said, sometimes it's one, sometimes it's two that it's available. So then those students receive that, and it makes that one financial obstacle for them much more bearable. Allows them that they don't have to work quite as hard, or they can study, they can support their children, and they can go to school at the same time. So I do want to thank you, and appreciate y'all's support over all these years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Allison. Also, one of the students is here. Lisa, could you please stand up? We wish you all the success in the world, Lisa, and please do stay in touch with all of us here, because we've got some resumes in this room. So when you start looking for your first full-time job, let somebody know here, and we'll...
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Yes. Lovely, lovely young lady.
Oh, hello. My name is Elizabeth Basan. I'm just really thankful for everyone here. I'm going to try to keep my tears in. This scholarship, thank you so much, State College of Florida, 'cause it means so much to me. My parents were migrant workers, and they couldn't support me going to school. And with this scholarship, it's changed my life, and it's changed my family's life. And every time I come home after the club, I love going to my mom and telling her everything about what's going on in the club and the people, and how the support, your guys' support, just means so much to me. And I'm blessed, and I thank God for putting you guys in my path. And you don't know, it just means so much for us students. And thank you so much.
Oh, boy. Sort of brings it all home why we're doing this in the first place. Thank you so much for those remarks. This is my final meeting as president, and we're going to make a little transition here. I want to first of all thank the board. Two of them, I think Ann Corcoran right now is interviewing Ben Vereen. That's all. He is here for the film festival, and she has an interview with him, so she's excused. I don't think Gloria Newcomb is here, Fulton, is she? Is Gloria here? Okay, she went back north? Okay. But the two others really are the ones who are instrumental in making this all work. Hope Burns, like a big sister to me. I won't say mother, like a big sister. You do so much to make this club work behind the scenes. Wonderful. And Fulton Lewis, who's the nicest, most interesting, and I can't read your writing, handsome. Old joke, but no. Good piano player, that's right. And they perform together. It's wonderful. I hope it's a great singer. But really, Fulton, you and I have exchanged 1,000 emails and phone calls over the past year, and you've been a great... Yep, it all worked out, and you're a great friend. I'm so glad. I was just a guest speaker 2 years ago, and I guess the speech went okay because they asked me to be president. kind of like Senator Obama. He gave a good speech. Look where he wound up. Well, my speech wasn't quite that good, I guess. But I'll say a few more remarks at the end. But Fulton would like to make this a bit of a business meeting for a few moments before we bring on our panel. So a big hand for my friend Fulton Lewis.
Ray, you've done a fantastic job. You really have. And it's been a pleasure. It has been a pleasure working with you for the past 2 years, and you have built this club. You know, this used to be, wasn't it the Broadcast Pioneers? And a lot of the pioneers died off. So we had to drop the name Pioneers, and it became... But... Ray, you have rejuvenated it. We have had some fantastic programs. Thanks. Really, you've done a great job. One of the peculiar things about this organization is that it has no bylaws, it has no constitution, and some members of the board kind of thought it would be nice if we had at least bylaws. So that there would be some sort of organization. I think state law also would be happy if we had something in writing. So several of us got together, directors got together, and we came up with, actually, I stole bylaws from online. There are all sorts of things that you can get, and the closest one I could find looked pretty good. So we made some changes, and but we need for your approval of it. And that reminds me of what Tip O'Neill used to do. Tip O'Neill would say, I think I hear from the back of the room somebody saying, let's dispense with the reading. And, I hear from the... And is there a second for that? Hey, do we have those in favor? Say aye. Do we have anybody here that would vote no? No. Okay, so the bylaws are approved. That's the way government should work. Really. There was no debate. I mean, we've got Democrats here, we've got Republicans. Look how well they got along. And for the Democrats, you'll be happy to know that Hillary is announcing on Sunday. Am I right? Yeah, okay. I think she's running for president, but she's got some announcement that she's making on Sunday. So really, that kind of handles this, and let's go ahead and eat. We've got one other thing. We have nominees for the board of directors, and those nominees are Tom Halbert, if you'd stand up, Ann Corcoran, who's not here, Hope Burns, if you'll stand up again, Fulton Lewis, and who else we got? Oh, Kay White. Kay White flew back from the state of Washington just to be here. This is an important position. It's a non-paying position, Kay. Now we tell you. So at this point, they have already been nominated by the board of directors. Are there any other nominations? And Tip O'Neill would say, okay, thank you, Tip. Is there a second for that? Okay, those in favor of that board, please say aye. Those opposed? Okay, so you have a new set of bylaws? What did you say? Linda, was that you? No, yes, you're a member. Anybody here is a member. We thank you. Let's go ahead and eat and, huh?
I think they have eaten.
Yeah, okay. I think we're probably ready for the meeting.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we almost lost Gail Sirens to that rug a few months ago. Yeah. Hey, I got to ask Mike Collins a question. The journalist in me is curious. The movie Rudy was one of my favorites, a Notre Dame success story. Were you? Did you see the movie? Did you like it? Did you ever meet Rudy? Any connection at all? Yes. Yeah. He was. That's your voice in Rudy? You're a modest man. Can we just tell the folks, Rudy was an underachieving high school player who had heart and soul, and he brought that to the top. The movie was pretty close to reality, yeah? Oh, really? A lot of liberties were taken? Yeah, let's go with that. For those who are watching from home on this broadcast, this is being tape delayed. You can check out broadcastersclub.com for more information about our organization. So having said that, let's move on to the panel. We've got three wonderful women. I'll introduce you separately. You can take your places one by one. First up, Kay White was a vice president of CBS for decades. Working for CBS News and CBS Sports, she was also director with American Express and vice president of McAndrews and Forbes Revlon. Big hand for Kay White. Beth Tura is currently a technical manager for CBS Sports, the first woman hired in this capacity. She worked 4 seasons in the NFL, NCAA, March Madness, and a Final Four, a Super Bowl, and she'll be part of the next Super Bowl as well. She has won 2 National Sports Emmy Awards. Big hand for Beth Tura. Linda Carson says she got her first job when you had to watch TV by candlelight. Old joke, sorry. I gotta dust off these oldies but goodies. Her first job in her hometown of Atlanta in 1964. She covered the civil rights movement and became a close confidant of Coretta Scott King. On September 11th, 2001, she was in the classroom with President Bush when he learned about the terror attacks in New York City. She is now a co-host of the Suncoast View and profiles amazing women each night. A dear colleague of mine. I like her more every day. Big hand for Linda Carson. Oh, no. Older sister, maybe. All right. In fact, Linda, I want to start with you because you've told me this story before, and I think this will set a good tone. No, those don't work. But if you can kind of pass that microphone around for the METV broadcast, that'll help as well. But Linda, I want you to set the tone and tell the anecdote about the time you received an award but were not able to pick it up because you were female.
Atlanta in 1964, and a couple of years later they said, you know, we found in a survey that women are watching the news, so we want you to start covering the news. You'll do Emphasis Women. You will cover child beauty contests and cooking contests. You can give some gardening tips, you know, whatever women might like. Well, I set up my first story. And the news director had said, well, first of all, when we were going in to audition for the news, it was between me and another woman. And the news director said to me, okay, I'm giving you the job. Neither one of you know your ass from first base, but at least you know you don't know. And he said, I'll give you some kind of photographer. I don't know who it'll be. So set up your first story. It was with Lurleen Wallace, who was then governor of Alabama. She was not giving interviews to anybody, but I was the first woman who asked, so I did an interview with her. My second day, I set up Mrs. King. So we went out and did Mrs. King. So at the end of the year, I won the award for the most outstanding story at the conference for journalists. So they said, we want you to come in at 8 o'clock to receive your award because you're not allowed to have dinner because this is for men only, but you can come and receive the award. So I was the best reporter, but I was not allowed to have dinner with the men, which was fine. They were all over 40, and who'd want to have dinner with a man over 40?
Beth, can you tell a similar story early on in your career that was challenging?
Well, first of all, I've got to give a shout out to my mother. My mother told me that I could do anything, be anything I wanted to be, and I never doubted her once. And early on in my career, I had graduated from Washington State, and I worked at this kind of funky cable O&O, which if anybody has ever worked in one, you know, you get these strange people that come in off the street that want to do TV shows, and you have to do it. But I went on to work at an ABC affiliate in Seattle, and my boss was interviewing me and actually giving me a job review because I was hired as a camera operator, which in those days, there weren't women in engineering. That's an engineering function. And I was definitely not wanted, and I knew it. But I worked super, super hard. And so I was getting my job review. And my boss asked me where I saw myself in 5 years. And I said, well, I would like to be a technical director. And he looked at me and he said, that's absurd. Women just do not have the aptitude to do that. And in my mind, I'm calling him all sorts of names, but I was very nice to him. And when I left there, I thought, you know what? I will do whatever it takes to be a technical director. And I did. I had to get a FCC first class license. I had to jump through all the hoops that other people didn't have to jump through. And I finally got an opportunity to be a technical director. And I went on to have a pretty good career in it. And I have him to thank for it. If I ever had the opportunity to meet him, I would tell him this story, and I would say, your low opinion of me and what I could accomplish really helped me achieve. Thank you very much.
Beth and I went to the same university a few years apart, and I guess my a story that would relate to this has to do with the Masters, which is coming up this week. I was at CBS Sports, and all the officers would always go. CBS has covered the Masters for years, and they were all going, and I was not invited. That was the first year. The second year, the Masters is coming along, and I asked the president of CBS Sports if I was going to be going this year, and he said, I haven't made up my mind yet. Well, there happened to be an American Women in Radio and Television luncheon later that week, and I was going to be on a panel, and so I asked one of my friends who was going to be in the audience if she would ask me the question if I was going to be going to the Masters. And so I relayed the story, and I said, I was told they hadn't made a decision yet. But by the time I got back to the office, I was called into the president's office, and he said, you're going to the Masters. So there are many ways to get there, not as a player.
Linda, let me ask you a question, because I work with you 5 days a week. What is it like to work with the 20-something generation? How do you do it?
I don't think they're any different. Christopher Brantley is 21 years old, just turned 21. I'll be 77 in July. And I think we're about the same, except I have more energy and don't take as many sick days. But talking about not being allowed to go somewhere in sports, I was doing sports in Pittsburgh, and along came the trend of women going into the locker room. My husband was a coach. He was the defensive coordinator for the Steelers. My husband's one of those nude men in the locker room. And he kept saying, well, the women that come in, I can tell who's who because some of their eyes go down and some of them go up. But they finally, because I was pregnant, that was a great thing. I didn't have to be sexy because I got pregnant. So they put me off on the side of the locker room in a little room, and they brought the players out to me. And I always said, my mother told me that never believe anything a man says when he's got his clothes off anyway. So this worked out really, really good. But I never really wanted to go in a locker room, as none of those women did.
We are on TV, by the way. And your husband said he took his clothes off too? A lot of coaches do that? I didn't know coaches were nude too. Beth, tell us a story along those lines, covering what sport might be particularly challenging for you.
Oh.
Anything that stands out in your mind? Is there one sport that's harder to have to cover?
Well, from a technical aspect, I would say golf is the most difficult to cover, and I'm going to tell you why. First of all, it's the amount of square footage that you have to cover. Every single camera, and like when they're doing the Masters, that will require probably 6 or 7 mobile units. And every hole has fiber, and fiber is the new technology for cameras. And when you use fiber, you have to supply local power. So every camera has a scaffold, has a generator. There's the audio that goes along with it. So every hole also has to have some sort of dry pair run to it for microphones. And, times this by 18 holes, plus all the RF gear, all the handheld cameras that go out. There's probably 10 to 12. And from a truck standpoint, there's a couple of trucks that'll cover the front 9 and a couple of trucks that'll cover the back 9. There's Golf Channel there. There's the International is there. It's a huge, huge event. And in addition to the stuff just to cover the golf, there's the transmission portion of it. You have to have multiple uplinks there. So they do a great job hiding all of these things from public view at the Masters. That's one thing they're very, very careful about maintaining their image because it is the Masters. But I would also say that from a technical standpoint, actually from a production standpoint, it's a very difficult sport for production. Golf is a producer sport, baseball is a director sport. That's what they call it. And just think about if you were the producer of a show and you were sitting in front of all your tape machines, because golf is live and tape, and just because Tiger putted in on 12 does not mean you're seeing it right now. You're going to go to it. So the producer is watching all this. In the first couple of days, he's not covering one ball like in football or baseball. He's covering however many players are in the field, and you got to keep track of that. And there's people helping to keep track of that, and the graphics department has to keep track of that as well. You're looking at something live, when the ball goes in, that's the current score. If you're looking at something that just happened, the score is not current. It's the previous score because the ball hasn't gone in to the audience. So there are just so many people involved. It's a very tough sport, and they're very, very long days, but at least you have the evenings off.
Yeah, trade-off. Do you have any good locker room stories for us? No.
Well, actually, I do. It wasn't when I was with CBS Sports. I was in CBS Radio Spot Sales, and we were at a WCCO in Minneapolis on a sales promotion tour. And we went to they took us out to the ball game that evening, and then they invited all the salespeople to go in and meet with the players after the game and into the locker room. So I just walked right along with them, and we were in there, and they start their interviews, and then all of a sudden they realized I was there. And there was just this sort of short pause, and then everybody went on, and it was a non-event after that.
Did you enjoy covering or working in news or CBS Sports more?
Oh, well, they're very different. I mean, you're reporting and obviously trying to be accurate in both. Sports, you can sort of schedule, and you know where the teams are playing, and you know what you're going to do, and it sort of sees. News is you're on your feet, just flying all the time, and you don't know where the big story is coming, or you go out on one story. Although I was never a reporter, I was always in management. But you go out on one story, and something else breaks, and you just have to switch, be on your feet, be thinking, and go with it. So I thought, I guess for me, news was a little more exciting.
Right. Linda, you are married to a wonderful man, Bud Carson. I had a chance to meet him years ago before he passed away, a sports legend, NFL, Steel Curtain, Pittsburgh. You've covered some sports. You do news. Which do you prefer, sports or news?
Oh, by far, news. When I did sports, we came to Pittsburgh. I was doing weather. I was supposed to do a show called People on the Go. The management changed, and that was the end of that. So they came to me and said, would you, at KDK, anybody from Pittsburgh would know that, they came to me and said, the last girl didn't work out, so would you do sports? And we want you to wear a short mini skirt and maybe a tight sweater and report from the sidelines during the breaks. And so that was in January, after the Steelers' first Super Bowl in '74. And I had, a couple of months later, I had to say, well, I'm pregnant. So those short skirts are not going to look very good. And so it was very difficult because I didn't know anything about any sport except football. I knew everything about football. I could tell you what play was coming next from either side most of the time. I went on to Los Angeles. I did sports out there for a while. But my husband would sit home with a yellow pad and write down everything he thought I did wrong. So when I came home, he would tell me about it. In the news, he didn't know what I was supposed to say, so he hung on my every word. So it would be like being married to a doctor and being the medical reporter. You could never really please them. So I was glad to get out of that career.
You don't miss it, yeah. Beth, you told us what sport is most challenging for you. What sport do you like to do the most?
Well, I would say in my days working with the Braves, I covered the Braves for 5 years. I traveled with the team. It was a great experience. It was the days of Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, Steve Avery. It was a great experience because, we traveled with the team, and the Braves they were the best. And we would go to, a typical road trip would be we'd show up at Fulton County Stadium in those days, and we'd bring our bags, and the game is over, and we'd hop on a bus, and the players travel on the, one bus, and the media travels on the other bus, and you get to the airport, and the players all take the seats in the back, and then we kind of sit in the middle, and the coaches sit up in front. But all of a sudden, they're serving you drinks and food, and you take off. You don't put your seatbelt on, and you're in the air, and you're landing, and you get to your hotel. You never touch your bag. They bring it to your room. It was fantastic. It's the only way to travel.
And you got paid.
And I got
I
paid.
have to tell you what, I traveled with my husband a lot. And at that time, the players that played the best sat in the front of the plane, the coaches in the middle, and the other players in the back. So we were going from Cleveland to San Francisco, and I got up to go to the bathroom, and he said, no, this is Friday. No, sit down. If you walk past those players, you're going to get them so excited they won't be able to play on Sunday. I didn't know I was that sexy.
That's the nice side of Bud. I'm glad there were some compliments along the way, veiled.
I was just going to mention that what the players do in the back of the plane, as soon as they get there, they take the seats apart. They flip them over and they start playing poker. So that's all they do. Yeah, from point A to point B.
What do you attribute your success to? CBS News in 1963, you were doing something right early on, and you continued to. You had a great career, Hall of Fame at your college. What tip could you give someone like Elizabeth here to move forward in their career?
Follow your dreams. I was very fortunate. Edward R. Murrow was a graduate of the same university that Beth and I attended.
Where did you guys go to school?
Washington State University. It's the Murrow College. And I was fortunate obviously we didn't go there at the same time, but he came back to give a commencement address the year I was a junior, and I was assigned to be his hostess while he was on campus. So I became like Velcro before it was developed. I mean, I stood outside the men's room when he went to the bathroom. And at that time, he was with USIA, and he had offered me a job at USIA. And I said, thank you, but all I want to do is work at CBS in New York. And so knowing people and having contacts, as Elizabeth knows, is very, very helpful. However, once you get there, then you really have to work, and you have to work hard, but then you also have to speak up for yourself. I think it's very easy to, you love your work. It's a 4-letter word, but it's not hard. And you just, if it's work, it's fun, but you don't want to get stuck in a position. And I was on the management side, so it's different than being maybe on air or on the technical side. And in my 23-year career there, I never had a job 4 years. You learn it, you do it, and you go on to the next. And Elizabeth, you have to speak up for yourself.
Right. Linda, why don't you take that same, I didn't mean to get to this question already, but I'm curious, what might you say is the key to your success?
Perseverance, totally. When I got we went from, I've worked in 12 stations in 8 markets. And we were in LA for 4 years, and of course the coaches got fired, and we went to Baltimore. I had a great job, then the coaches got fired, and I went to Kansas City. And so I had been interviewed by the news director. He told me that I was going to be going to work there as the co-anchor. I had anchored with that guy in Atlanta, with Stan Carmack. So I go in to see the general manager, and Bud said, you gotta be tough, you gotta ask for a lot of money. And I walk in, and the general manager shakes my hand, and he said, well, you'll never work in Kansas City. Maybe you can stay home and write a book. And I said, yes, I will work in Kansas City. And he said, how do you know that? And I said, because I'm not going to give up. I'm going to be looking for a job here in television every day from now on. A year later, as he was coming, I will always remember this, the day you get the ashes put on your forehead, he was coming out of the church, and I was walking by with my cameraman, and I said, oh, I'm so sorry you lost your job. I'm sure you'll get another one really fast. And I was offered a job there were only 3 stations by the other 2 stations in that city. But if I went in the parking lot, sat down in my car and cried, and then I wiped my eyes and got busy looking for another job. So I never gave up, and that's the one thing. I mean, I've been turned down. I got a job in every city I applied for. That means I was turned down by 3 stations in every city. So you just have to keep hanging in there.
It reminds me that the NFL coach Marv Levy used to say, I've been fired more than a Civil War cannon. 1 second, Mike. Beth, how about an anecdote about what your advice might be to someone like Elizabeth?
Definitely perseverance. You know, when you come into this business, people aren't going to want to see you there. Trust me. And you are going to get a lot of pushback, so expect it. You're going to have to be tough. You're going to have to grow some thick skin. I remember one time I was TDing a show with a guy at Turner, and he screamed at me. Literally screamed at me for the first half of the basketball game. I don't know why. He was excited, but he didn't like what I was doing or something. I was in tears. And at the end of the game, I just, sucked it up, as my mother would say, just suck it up. And the next day he called me, not to apologize, but to say, hey, you want to be my regular TD? You did a great job. Like, are you kidding me?
Did you say yes?
I said yes, of course. But that is working in TV. You will hear awful things, but you have every right to be here. Don't let anybody tell you can't do something. Just do it.
Beth, do you think in 2015 there is still a gender bias?
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. So I had the opportunity to talk to a couple of friends of mine, women who have been in the business for a while. And one of my first jobs was running camera freelance at the Mariners games, and I loved doing baseball camera. And there was a woman there, her name was Carmen, excellent, did network shows too. There was a woman in the Midwest, her name is also Beth. Both of these women are still running camera, and Beth, when I saw her 2 weeks ago, had just been booked for her 15th Kentucky Derby. She runs handheld. She's 65 years old, okay? There's no other young women running camera. It's the same women that have been doing it for 30 years. Where are they? And again, some of the areas that are computer-based, like the tape room is no longer tape. It's like a Super TiVo, all computer-based, packet transmission. Women have been able to come in, and it's been the playing field has been leveled there because they can operate computers. Same with the graphics department. It used to be just the ladies typing. Now there's super sophisticated computers, and we see as many men there as we do women. But the areas sorely lacking are camera and director. We have a great director at CBS, the only woman I know working at a network level. Kay hired her. That's it. There is one woman that just started directing at ESPN, but I think she's been doing that, working her way into it for probably 20 years. So, yeah, there's a little bit of a gender bias. I don't know why, because we do a great job. We're hard workers. We're lots of fun, and we know sports.
Well, I just think that, the two things I say that you have to have perseverance that we've talked about, but you need a sense of humor. There are just times when it's tough and things go wrong and it's hitting the fan, and you have to just put it in perspective and really maintain that sense of humor. And those are the two things I tell people they need. Absolutely.
Let me tell you about gender bias, what I think. Because you will agree, Ray. I'll say something Ray will agree with. When I started out, I was the only woman in the newsroom. Everybody was male. Now there are a lot more women in the newsroom, mostly women in the newsroom, mainly because in starter markets it pays so well, men can't afford to start there. And age is not such a big factor. I was told when I went on the air at 25 that woman over 30 was not wanted on the air. And at my age, I guess I'm sort of an oddity now. At 77, my contract goes until I'm 79, and my boss is already asking to extend it. But one thing that has not changed since I started in television, it's getting more and more based on looks. For men and women, I think. But all the people you see come in are beautiful, stunning, Miss Americas. So appearance is maybe more important than it ever was before. So I think you can still be smarter and you can beat the pretty girls out. That's what I always thought. Give me a little bit of makeup and a roll of toilet paper and I can be as sexy and as pretty as...
I didn't know. I thought she'd have blow her nose. I don't know. I was afraid of that. There's an old expression. In the old days, it used to be, I'm so-and-so to bring you the news. These days, it's, the news is here to bring you me. You feel that as well? I have one more question for you. When you began, you were shooting film.
Yes.
Now, we've gotten past tape. It's no longer tape. It's a little computer card. And besides that, technology's changed. Also, Linda has to make sure her story also goes on the internet, has to copy and paste her story and put it up on the internet as well. They like us to use Twitter and Facebook. When you first began, you had a mission. You went from A to B. Now you've got to do so many different things every day, don't you?
Yes, yes. But when I started out, too, we had a radio station that was a part of our station. So I had to do radio. But the funny thing with radio, you'd have to go to a phone booth and screw off the bottom part of the thing and talk to it like that. And so, at my age, I can learn, if I want to, I can learn to do Twitter and all that stuff. It's not that hard. And people look at me and say, oh, could I help you? No, thank you. I can do it myself.
Well, when I first started out, if it hadn't been for the union, I probably wouldn't have gotten that opportunity. Because that was at a time in the 80s when television stations were being required to have some diversity. They didn't want diversity, trust me. So I came in and I was kind of a guinea pig, and I knew that going in, so I just had to work twice as hard to be half as good, and I developed some pretty strong relationships with the people there until I was finally accepted, and they knew that, when it came time to do work, I was there to work, just like them.
And has not in your case, but as you see younger women coming in, are the unions welcoming them now?
It's a moot point. They're just technicians. When you come to work at CBS or wherever, you're a technician. And as a technician, you're expected to do your job. If you can't do your job, then you're not going to be asked back.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Yes, Hal.
My first job was in 1953, and I could have gotten you a job doing a cooking show.
That's funny, because when I said in Atlanta, I graduated from college in 1960, and I said I want to do television news, and they said, well, you'll have to learn to cook, because the only show on the air with a woman was Ruth Kent in Atlanta, and she did a cooking show, and I never intended to learn to cook. But when I got the job, I wrote for the promotion department. That's how I knew there was a Weather Girl audition coming up. I wrote for the promotion department, and down the hall was the news department, and the news department was Ed Blair. That was it. He was it all day long. He was the news director, and he did the noon news. So I would go back and say, can I help you write something? Of course. So I learned to write from Ed before I got to the next station, where I started as a weather girl, and then immediately proved I could be a reporter because I'd been trained by somebody that was really good at it. So you have to get out there and take on extra work. Don't just do what you're told. Go do the job that you're going to want to do and know it before you get it.
I just wanted to make a quick comment, if I may. So when Kay asked me if I would be interested in coming here, I said yes, of course, because she's my hero. But the topic, when I started thinking about the topic about the increasing role of women in broadcasting, for some reason that just didn't sit quite right with me. And I was able to ask a couple of my friends, coworkers about that, and they were like, ah. So last night I was talking with my friend Susie, and we decided that what's wrong with that title, that topic, is that should be a verb, increasing the role of women in broadcasting. That's what we should be focusing on. Because I see so many young people, I want to get into TV. Really? What do you want to do? I want to be a reporter.
I want to be Oprah.
I want to be Oprah. How about, hey, why don't you learn how to run camera? Come here, learn some technical stuff. You can do that. You have the aptitude. It would be great to have you because we're getting too old. We can't keep doing it.
It's a great question. I think it's one of the things that's all young people, particular any part of broadcasting, needs a language. First, you need to write. I don't care what language you write in, but you have to be able to write. And then language. Today, the world, it's an international story wherever you are. And to pick up a language, whether it's Spanish or whether it's Farsi, it doesn't. You need to have another language.
And as a reporter in Los Angeles, I really, really needed to know Spanish. In fact, I started taking Spanish there. I was not with the Spanish station, but we would be interviewing somebody and they only spoke Spanish, and the reporter who did speak Spanish with another station would tell us what they said. And that's turned out to be wrong sometimes. And if you're going to work in Miami, my daughter is an attorney, but she was in this business for a while, and she couldn't get a job in Miami because she didn't speak Spanish. So I think this is going to be true in more and more big markets. You're going to need that Spanish. That will be one of your greatest assets. And I think working at a Spanish station is great. And then if you want to move on to another one, it'll be a reference. Whatever you do, it will not hold you back in any way, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, when I was at Fox 13 in Tampa a few years ago, a few of the reporters did speak Spanish also, and they got some of the bigger stories. They'd send Gloria Gomez, not Ray Collins, to cover the stories where you needed a Spanish knowledge. Are you fluent? Yes?
Yeah.
Very much so.
Parents don't speak any English.
Oh, I guess you are then. Yeah.
My mom and dad.
Well, as they'll agree, this is going to be to your advantage to know both languages.
Interesting you ask. I just came back from the Murrow Symposium out at WSU, and Clarissa Ward gave the Murrow address and was talking about her experiences covering in war zones. And she highlighted the importance of listening. That as a reporter, and especially when you're in foreign countries, learning the culture, understanding what's really going on behind the scenes. She emphasized the importance of language as well. And she said that yes, there is danger, but you don't take silly chances, that you have a handler, you have a translator, although she speaks 6 languages fluently. But when they go out in a van and the pool's going and you're out on the road, and whether you're in Afghanistan, Iraq, Yemen, Syria, if one person in the van says, I'm uncomfortable, they don't go. They come back. One person says, this just doesn't feel right, they come back. But I'm not going to be offered the opportunity to cover news abroad, but I do have a scholarship at the university, and it is for a student to spend time, backpack journalism, in a foreign country. I don't pick the country. They work with the university and various organizations. And this coming year, we have 2 students going to Nepal. So it's a great field. You look at Christiane Amanpour, who is my goddess. I think she's just an incredible woman. And she's talked about having children and leaving her children at home to go on a story. But I think if you're in journalism, if you're a journalist, it's like baseball, I guess. It's in your blood, and you don't really think about it. You just do what's there because you can't not do it. One student had asked Clarissa, what do your parents think about you being in these war zones? And what can I tell my parents that will give them comfort when I want to go cover a foreign story? And she just said, you have to let them know that you know your business, you're not going to take risks and do something out of line. It is a dangerous profession, but so is auto racing, and so is football. So, it's just a calling, and you can't help when you go, you go.
I've never covered a war zone. Covered the civil rights movement in Atlanta, and then when Dr. King died, I went to his house. We heard on the wire, as you remember, AP and UP wires, when something big happened, they started to ring. I was anchoring the 11 o'clock news, and suddenly they started to ring one night. And when we looked at it, it said Dr. King had been shot. And so it was much nicer in those days. We called Mayor Ivan Allen and told him, and so he said, I'm going to Mrs. King's house, and we said, we'll follow you. Not we'll get there first, we'll follow you. So we followed out to her house. I knew her very well, so I went in and I kept saying, he'll be okay, he'll be okay. But after that, the riots started breaking out everywhere. And here I was, the lady reporter. And they decided it didn't matter in those days. And I was the first female reporter. My photographer was the first black photographer, and we were together through the whole thing. We've hid under cars. We found ourselves in the line between the police and the demonstrators. And you're just a reporter then. You're not a male or a female. You're just a reporter. You just got to be sure you can hide well and run fast.
When I first got to ABC 7, I thought, well, this will be fun. I can help the younger folks. It reminds me of my late father's quote, old age is when you have all the answers, but nobody asks you the questions. Turns out they really know it all, and they don't really ask you much.
And you're old, so they don't really care to hear what you have to say. Yeah. But I do with a lot like Christopher again, because Christopher's 21, came in, and he was my photographer at first. So we were everywhere together. And I told him all of my experiences. I did talk to him. I talked to him about, first you're a writer. That's the main thing you are. But, I don't think anybody's asking, and they do not want your they would call it criticism. They don't want your guidance because they think they can already do it better, and you're old-fashioned, and you're in the dark ages before Twitter and all that. So even though I bet I can tweet with the best of them.
I don't get much request for mentoring, but I am reminded when I first started tech managing, one of the staff guys, he's a real character, New Yorker, like from the Bronx or something. Dal, if we need you, we'll call you, okay?
I've heard that just recently.
Yeah. I recognize that accent, right? I think networking is critical. I think it's existed for a long time. It's been called other things. But none of us get where we are alone. There's been somebody along the way who's championed our cause, who's opened a door for us. And I think we absolutely have the responsibility to extend the hand behind us. It's something I believe in very strongly. And I think men have learned a lot from women. I think we were sort of networking, and then guys sort of got the idea that maybe, we need to do something other than just play golf and tennis together. Maybe we should talk about what's really going on or what our budget's going to be. But I really think helping one another is critical.
Well, I don't know her from, I didn't know she ever worked at ABC 7, but I do know her when she was I do know her from when she was doing sports and waiting outside the locker room to interview my husband, and I thought she was very knowledgeable then. I always felt that being a woman was an advantage because I'm thinking about the human side. I don't care how many points you scored. I'm thinking about how did you feel, what was it like, that sort of thing. So I don't think you have to be a man. I think you can use the skills you have, and I don't think you have to be a woman. I think you use the skills you have and don't look at it either way. So I've never felt that I had to be more masculine. But I will tell you that once when I was starting out and interviewing politicians, I did the interview to the politician, and then he stuck a $20 bill down my dress and he said, "Get me some extra time, honey." The camera was rolling. It made a great story. Nobody's done that in a long time.
How about a big hand for our panel? I know which one is the PA? I know we're running a little bit late here, so I'll wrap this up quickly. Before we bring up Fulton and Hope, I just want to say a couple of quick words on the way out the door here. It's been a great couple of years as your president here. We've had some solid attendance, some great programs. The website is where it belongs to be now. We're on social media. We're proud to have METV videotape some of our sessions, our Hyde Park Social, something new we've been trying to raise money for the Scholarship Fund, which is in good hands, thanks to Bill Watrous, and Jen, thanks to you as well. So thank you. It's been an honor to be the president here. I'll be at ABC 7. You can find me there. Also, I do a media company. I do a lot of This Is Your Life videos. So if any of you want to send me some of your clippings or tapes, I can coalesce it into a 5-minute This Is Your Life video, very popular around the holidays or birthdays. So raycollinsmedia.com, by the way, in case you want to check out more about that. So that's it. Thank you. It's been an honor to be your president. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.